Hey, it's Matthew Decker, Leverage Wealth Management, Cash Value Life Insurance Reviews, here with my friend, business partner. What else are you?
Nothing.
Aaron Vincent, who runs Vincent Planning, vincentplanning.com if you want to check them out, leveragedwm.com if you want to check us out. Last time we talked about our guiding principles, and we've had some wide-ranging conversations here today, but I wanted to kind of shake it up a little bit. And so what I want to talk about now is things that get a bad reputation in this industry. And there's a bunch of them.
Yep.
And maybe just the why behind it. And is it even real to begin with? So let's start with some easy ones, shall we?
All right. A little word association. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, a little word association. So I'm going to say a thing that gets a bad rep.
Okay.
And then you're going to tell me what you think about it.
Okay.
Let's start with reverse mortgage.
Ooh. Well, I think this gets a bad rep because of the way they're talked about and often the way they're described and sold.
Ding. That's going to be a common theme.
Yep.
Continue.
Common theme. Again, we've said this before in previous conversations and episodes, but fear. Fear's often the reason why it's sold. Typically, you'll see a commercial for somebody in failing health or somebody who has no one to take care of them, or they've run out of money. Where's it going to come from? How are you going to save the day? How are you going to get out of this hole? You're going to get a reverse mortgage. And so is that in and of itself a bad thing? No. I mean, it's very few and far between where we talk about them, where we recommend them. But to say that it's in and of itself a bad thing, I think it's just the way they're talked about and provided is the bad thing.
Can it be a good thing?
It can be.
Can it be a bad thing?
It can be.
That's exactly what I wanted out of you. All right, let's go to the next one. Annuities.
Annuities. Well, common theme, how they're sold. I think, we talked about the different types of advisors. And unfortunately, some advisors or agents, they only have the ability to provide one product.
Yep.
And so the annuity usually is it. It's an insurance product. And so oftentimes there's only one.
Why do you think the annuity is it?
Well, it's number one, it takes the least amount of work to get licensed to provide.
True.
Unfortunately, that's
true.
That's one
Does that make it bad?
No, not at all.
Cool.
No, annuities aren't bad at all. I don't care what you've heard. To say that an annuity is bad in of itself, how could anyone say that?
Yeah.
So
it's a silly thing to say.
It's a silly thing to say. It's very one-sided.
Yeah.
But again, it's how they're sold. A lot of fear, and there are different flavors of annuities, so it's hard to address them all in one kind of conversation. But more often than not, an annuity is sold out of fear.
Story on annuities. Aaron and I sat down with a client, came to a presentation that we put together at like a local college where we were doing a financial planning workshop. Came into our office and was like, man, I would love to work with you guys. Some of the things that you said really resonated with me. Here's what I got. And I don't remember if he had like maybe 3 or 4 different folders or if he just had one big folder, but he had a bunch of stapled documents in his folder. And he pulled out one annuity, another annuity, a third annuity, and a fourth annuity, totaling 80% of his total net worth. 80% of his total net worth was in annuity contracts by the same advisor who has a radio show where he primarily sells annuities. And
sells them to a lot of people.
Tons of people. And in that situation, an annuity was great for him to the tune of about 30% or 40%.
Right. Probably one.
Maybe 50% of his net worth, maybe. But 80%?
To the point where this advisor had to lie or bend the truth the very least.
I forgot about that.
To just get the checks and balances approved.
I forgot about that. He came with his actual applications. And we got to see how the applications were filled out, and his net worth changed over time in order to fall within the guidelines of the annuity companies. Every annuity company has a set of guidelines that you have to fall within in order for it to be considered suitable. That doesn't mean it's in your best interest. It just means it's suitable.
And then we asked him, how did this happen? And he said, well, every time we had a meeting, there was something else to be afraid of. That this annuity would quench the fear of.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
It was a bad one.
In that case, the annuities were bad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the annuity that was bad.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
To say any one investment product is bad is completely short-sighted.
Well, you just torpedoed the rest of my conversation.
All right, sorry.
All right. Life insurance. Good
Life
or bad?
insurance, a great thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's nothing bad about it, right?
Nothing bad about it, about it itself. Definitely bad about how it's misrepresented, how it's misused, and missold.
Totally.
By, again, the agents and or advisors that have wrong intentions.
Should you have all your money in a life insurance contract?
Absolutely not.
Should you have all your money in an annuity?
Absolutely not.
Should you have all your money in the market?
Absolutely not.
Should you have all your money in
any one thing? Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. I totally agree.
Yeah.
We got another one on here. I hope you know where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Brokers.
Brokers. Well, let me just tell you what I think you mean by broker.
Okay.
Broker, in contrast with advisor, a broker is someone who just makes a deal for you. They're looking for the hot new thing. They've done some reading. They've done some analysis. May even have some track record to make you think that they've done well in the past doing some of this predicting of returns or whatever. And they aren't incented, or they aren't really trained even to think about the big picture. They're just trying to get you to spend this money on this investment and that investment grow, and that's it.
Yeah. They're a conduit.
They're a conduit. Yeah. A means to an end.
Yeah.
And so
are they bad?
Are they bad? No, not at all. No. But
are they good?
Not necessarily. They're not good or bad. If they, I'll put it this way, a broker can be good if they stay in their lane and do the thing that they're asked to do.
You think a broker can be good?
I think you can. If you're talking to a broker and the broker is your advisor for your entire retirement portfolio, then that's a bad.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I'd have to be convinced on this one.
But is the broker bad in and of itself? I don't think so.
But a broker has to make trades to get paid.
True. That's a fact.
So how do I know
is that bad?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think so. You don't think that's bad?
I mean, not in and of itself. I think,
but it's a conflict of interest.
It can be.
It
definitely can be. And I know where you're going, and I don't disagree with you, but I'm just playing a little bit of a devil's advocate.
Well, I just want you to tell me that I'm right.
I'm not doing it.
Okay. All right. So brokers.
Yeah. I mean,
is there a better model?
There's a much better model if you want advice or you want to find a way to make a retirement plan and execute it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that through a broker, bad.
What's the easiest way to explain a broker to someone who may or may not know the differences?
Sure.
How would you explain it?
Yeah. A broker, I think, at its simplest form is just they are someone that you would go to buy a product.
Okay.
They have the licenses to buy that product, and therefore they buy it on your behalf. And they get paid a commission for every sale or trade that they make, regardless of what that does for you. Regardless of if that fits into your, there's not even any visibility for that broker on whether or not that stock or that whatever product that they're providing, whether it fits into a plan. They only ask that question.
Now they could do a plan.
They could.
A broker could do a plan.
They could do a plan.
Would they have to have a certain license to do a plan? I assume they would.
To charge a fee for it, they would.
Yeah, they would.
Yep.
So if you're just a pure broker, you're not charging a fee for a plan,
That's right.
Which means you don't have a plan.
Correct. Which means the way they're getting paid, to your point, is merely by buying and selling products, which at some point the conflict of interest is probably in contrast with what is, again, in best interest with your portfolio.
That one I feel like isn't as ambiguous as the others.
Yeah.
Last one I got here, unless you've got one that you want to throw at me. Life settlements. Well, now I probably have more experience in this area than you do, but if you want to take it, go for it.
Let's first define life settlements.
Okay. So the way that I would define a life settlement is one of two ways. I'm going to hit two categories with the same broad brush.
Yeah.
So there's a life settlement is taking a life insurance policy and you're on one side of the transaction. Okay. So either you are selling your own life insurance policy to someone else. That's one side of the transaction. Or you are an investor who is investing in someone else's life insurance policy. So those are the two sides, I suppose, of the coin. On the one side, it's called viaticals. On the other side, it's called life settlements. Depends on which party you are in the transaction. And I would say if you are the investor in someone else's life insurance policy, that's super weird.
It is weird.
I've seen some of those annual meetings, and it's odd.
Yeah. If I'm the investor, I'm wishing that you die sooner.
Correct.
Insured.
Correct.
My investment gets better if you die sooner.
Well, that's actually, I mean, Aaron actually owns a life insurance policy on me, so I hope that's true. I hope that's not what you're doing.
That's true.
And I own one on Aaron, so
yeah.
we can root for each other's
That's right.
early demise. That's the best IRR, by the way.
You're worth more alive to me.
Okay, that's nice. So that's the life settlement side.
Yeah.
You're investing in someone else's life insurance policy, and that person has sold it, and they've sold it for probably a couple reasons. But the main ones would be, number one, maybe they can't afford the policy anymore. But that policy is going to have a death benefit. So an investor might buy that policy from you for a discounted rate, continue to pay those premiums, and then when you die, the fund gets the death benefit.
Yep.
And I would say, though, those average some decent returns, although, again, like I said, the annual meeting is weird.
Right.
Because they're like, client B passed away this year, and we made 14% on their policy, and that's an odd place to be. On the other side of the balance sheet would be selling the policy. All kinds of reasons to sell it. You can actually get more money for it sometimes if you sell it than the cash value. And if it's a guaranteed policy, there's no cash value. Or if it's a policy that has a guaranteed death benefit but no cash value, those do exist. You would get more money for it than cashing it in, because it's not worth anything if you cash it in. And then there are those people that would just rather, they don't need the death benefit anymore.
Yep.
And hey, if I can get more money for it, I might as well just sell it.
You know, whether those are good or bad, I think there are more questions than answers. What I mean by that is that, you know, what are all the details that lead up to somebody deciding I want to sell my life insurance policy? I mean, that's kind of where it comes down. Or, you know, if you're an investor, you're looking to get a return on your money, and you've gone all the way down the ladder to the point where you're beginning to consider buying life insurance policies on people that want to sell them. You know, did you really exhaust all the better options, or what got you here? And so there's just so many other questions that got to it. So I couldn't, I mean, in my conscience, say automatically bad or automatically good, but I gotta believe that there are way more horror stories than good stories with those things.
I think you'd probably rather be the seller of the policy than the buyer of the policy, only because there's nothing weird about selling your policy.
True.
I mean, because you're letting it go anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well let it go for the highest price.
Yeah.
And typically the highest price would be some form of a viatical life settlement type arrangement. Anything else? What do you think gets a bad rep? Anything that we didn't really hit on? Obviously, we've talked about like captive agents and things like that in some past.
You've hit the high notes. I think anything that I mentioned would probably be too far in the weeds to be beneficial here. But no, I think those are the big ones. Those are the ones that, you know, if you spend any time doing research online about, you know, retirement planning or investing and pros and cons, you've listed the ones that are going to come up. So I think
so how do you know if one of these things is actually good for you?
That's a great question. I mean, I think having, again, going back to whether you want to call it a plan.
That's the only right answer.
Whether you want to call it a plan or call it a roadmap or call it whatever you want to call it. But the truth is, you've got to have some way to measure, is this a good or a bad decision?
You passed the test.
That's beyond just your advisor's opinion.
Yeah. I'm glad you passed the test.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so those are some of the things that kind of get a bad rep. And, you know, you shouldn't be scared of things in this industry. There's enough people out there preaching greed or fear. You shouldn't be scared of anything in this industry. What you should be scared of is making irrevocable decisions with your dollars without a trusted expert at the wheel with you. Mm-hmm. Otherwise,
amen.
How in the world are you measuring things if you don't have a plan from someone that you trust that's held to some kind of fiduciary standard? I don't know how you do it.
I would argue that half the fear we talked about that's out there is the fear of, have I made the right decision? If you have no way to check that, welcome to fear.
Yep. When we get together in our next conversation, which is going to be in just a few minutes for us, but it may be a week or two for you guys, I'd love to talk about the idea of a custom portfolio, because we've talked a lot about cookie cutter, and we've made kind of some hints about non-cookie cutter approaches, and I'd like to kind of dive into that in more detail next time. See you soon.